Hi, I am Tony Bowen, and welcome to my Corn Country Rails. Well, I trust everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. I know at our house it was very small, very quiet, but it was a very nice Thanksgiving. And now the season of Christmas is upon us, and what better way to get that loved one some model trains? And actually, I have sold a lot of the model trains from this collection, and I'm kind of tapering off with what I have in the collection, so I have plenty to take to train shows after the first of the year. So I still have an update that I'm going to do on my inventory list, and that will come out after December 5th. But then after that, there probably will not be another inventory list coming out just because of kind of pricing and getting things ready for the train show season. Now, I did have to kind of play a Grinch this past week. I had several people who early on, when I brought this collection home, had contacted me, said there were items they wanted, and basically had to kind of send a note saying, hey, I've had this item for about a month now, and what are your arrangements for paying for it, picking it up, and that. And so I've basically given those people kind of an end date of December 5th, that if I don't hear from them, if the items are still here, then they're getting absorbed back in the inventory. And so some of the people that have contacted me in the past saying, hey, do you have any of the KD cars left in HO? And I've said, no, I'm sorry, they've all sold. Well, unfortunately, yeah, they sold technically because I had them on a shelf thinking somebody was going to pay for them. And now that they haven't, they'll probably be up for sale again unless I hear from those people. Same thing with the maintenance away equipment. I had posted several weeks ago some photos of maintenance away equipment of cranes and boom cars and things like that. And some of those I've said have been sold. And they have also been sitting here too, not getting picked up. And so I'm just going to kind of show you around some items that might either come back on the inventory if they don't get picked up here in the next week, and just kind of where things are with the inventory and things that I have to offer. So my locomotives, I've definitely sold out on a lot of locomotives, but there are still some choice selections, some lifelike ones still there in the Proto 2000 series. We've got a couple MRC F7s, a Hallmark brass piece down there, an A and B set, a BL2 that is brass, and then two that have overland drives. One is an SW15, the other is an SD40-2. Maybe some of the lower quality locomotives, for their time they were fine, but compared to today's standards, maybe aren't the greatest. And so there's some Cox, some Lionel, some Mantua, some older Athearn with rubber band drive, and then some custom painted River Rossi and IHC. But with the River Rossi, a lot of times they only had a one powered truck, so didn't really pull the greatest if you had a whole passenger train. Some of the maybe more better quality locomotives, I should say, still have quite a few Atlas, some Cato, some Intermountain, some Walther's Train Line, and then obviously some Stewarts. And those Stewarts are, well, I don't want to make light of his passing on November 20th, but are those collector's items now? My guess is I doubt it, but I also have some Stewart locomotives too. Some of the maintenance away equipment that is here, that if it doesn't get picked up, will be back on the inventory. So lots of cranes, and then there's some cleaning cars. This one here actually takes a box car that goes over the top. This is kind of a homemade jobby with two rollers. I suppose you could have one wet, one dry. These are some older sprung-loaded cars for cleaning the tracks. They weigh a ton, I know that. And then some more maintenance away items over here, some cranes and that. Some things that have not been on the inventory just because they're so hard to basically catalog and put are some vintage HO kits. So there's some Silver Streak, some All Right, some old Globe, some Varney, Ambroid kits. So these will all be going to the show. Red Ball kits are in there. So ye old Huff and Puff kits, old Walthers kits. So those will be going to the train shows. Some Athearn we still have. Kind of a mixture of some AccuRail, some train miniatures, some Mantua, some McLean, Roundhouse kits, Bowser. Another box of some AccuRail, some Tichy, some E&C shops, some branch line trains in the Blueprint series. And then a couple people have contacted me about the cars that Ertl did. And so there are some Ertl box cars. The NMRA 40-foot box cars they did is kind of a convention car a few years ago. Still have those. Some front range cars, some McKean, some some C and BT shops, and then just some old kind of Robin Rails and Lionel and Model Power kits. Another crane that's an Illinois Central. Couple cabooses that are still boxed. Some loose cabooses. All the books are now inventoried, and so they're wrapped in cellophane. They're ready to go to train shows and priced. And so all the switches we could reclaim from the layout, they're here. So this is the crossovers, double slip switch, three-way switches and curved box. And then I have a box of lefts and rights. Then just some smaller sections of Code 83 flex track, some re-railers, some bumpers that were in a staging yard. 3 boxes of loose cars. I've gone to bigger boxes. I have looked at some of the loose cars that will go into the train show, just so I can have an idea of what I'll have. This box is probably all past. And so some are ready to run, some are box, and some are kit. If you're into O scale, well, this is to now to O scale. I have about 6 cars that are ready to run, 2 cars that are kits, and then just some hodgepodge 3-rail stuff from when some of the items were converted from 3-rail to 2-rail. So not much left in the O scale items. On the loose engines, a few of these have sold, but nothing too crazy. And a few loose engines up here as well. I've had a few people inquire about the HO case. It has sold. And so the N scale, the O scale, and the HO one, they are all sold now. So this one's just waiting to be picked up. Structures, some of the structures have sold down some. This one has the Sunrise Feed and Seed back here. We have one of the grain elevators from Walthers, the extra storage. This is more kind of the commercial district buildings with a few farm buildings. Some houses with a few trackside structures in there. And then we have one of the Clarksville stations, one of the backdrop buildings that was built for just kind of the footprints, and then having the box of kit or the windows and that, they're still in here. and then the start of the, and then the rest of the box that contains the rest of the kit. This box down here, we have the Walther's icing facility, we have the larger depot, we have a small cattle pen, and then we have an older structure that says Peterbilt on it that was kind of a machine shed. And then the boxes down below are just hodgepodge kits, vehicles that they will go to train shows. Somebody asked me about the Flex Track. I was able to pull a lot of the Flex Track off the layout, so I have them all done up in bundles, and they will be sold like that at the train shows as well. Then bridges. I've had a few people inquire about the bridges. Move that box out of the way. And so the bridges will all go. So this is the tower for this double track bridge back here. We have one of the Walther's double track bridge. We have a very neat wooden little trestle there. There's a couple plate girder bridges underneath that bridge. And then some of the chooch abutments and piers, those will all be ready to go to train shows as well to be sold. And then lastly are these 7 boxes here of cars that are in flats that will go to train shows and that. And these will not be inventoried just because there's so many of them. So my plan is at train shows, it'll be kind of a price breakdown. If you buy 1 car, it's this price. If you buy 2, it might be a better discount. If you buy up to 3, it'll be the better discount that you can get. So, and like I said, those will just be ready for the train shows that I go to starting in February and March. I've had a few people ask me about kind of my shipping. I am sending the majority of my stuff when I can in flat rate boxes. That makes it real easy for me to tell people what the charge is going to be when I send them stuff. And then just my packing peanuts and that. And so as I get other boxes that come in, like this one here that was from eBay, that was one my wife got something. I thought, hey, I can reuse and repurpose that. And then, of course, any stuffing material that I can repurpose also, I use as well. So once again, I want to thank everyone for passing on this video or the past videos I've done on this collection. I can't say what joy it brings to have people send me a message or after they've received a package saying, hey, I'm glad I could help out by purchasing something and giving new life to something that came from this collection on another layout. It brings me great joy to be able to find homes for a lot of these pieces of equipment and that. And I know once I go to the train show, I won't probably have that connection as much. It'll be people just handing me cash and trains probably going off the table and that. But it really does help to find new homes for this, because nobody wants to see items like these just end up in the landfill or that. I mean, there's still value to other modelers and that. And I'll be very curious once I take this older box of some of the vintage items, if there's, somebody who truly wants to have a craftsman kit on some of those old Ambroid and that, they would definitely be worth the challenge in that. The only thing I've noticed with any of those wood kits is that wood is so old and so dried out that I also wonder about their structural integrity once you do build them. But other than that, they're still really neat kits. They're neat boxes, even if you don't build them. It definitely shows a legacy of where model railroading has evolved throughout the years and that. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoys this holiday season as we leave Thanksgiving, and before we know it, Christmas will be upon us. And as always, if you have any questions about the estate, you can certainly feel free to email me and I can send you the inventory. But as I said, the newest inventory I will not send out until after December 5th. So take care for now, everybody, and talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.